Hi, hello, my name is Sam, my pronouns are they, them, and welcome back to my office. So, we are at a slightly different angle today because I am here to show off the plan for my reading journal for 2024. So, I keep track of my reading in a lot of different ways, and I tend to like to keep it around 3 different ways. So I always have my Storygraph. I do not use Goodreads at all because Goodreads is trash garbage, and Storygraph is superior in every single way. Put your money, time, effort, and appreciation towards an actual person and not Amazon. Because if you didn't know, Amazon owns Goodreads. From there, I normally do a physical reading journal. My physical reading journal, this is my run from 2023. Things did not go well. We'll talk about it in a second. And then I usually have a spreadsheet. I normally keep it as a Google sheet, and I typically tend to use the one by Bookroast. She has a free one that I tend to use every year that I really like. It's kind of set up to use the claw pile reading review method that she uses. I don't do that, so I just kind of hide those and I just kind of keep track of it as I do. But it has some really nice graphs, some really nice charts, a way to keep track of series, and a way to keep track of what you're buying throughout the year. So I use that as just, again, a very general keeper. Now let's talk about my 2023 reading journal. I made this last year with the best of intentions, and I loved it. I loved the cover. I hand painted the cover. But the year of 2024 is going to be the year of making my life accessible for myself. The reality is I have really bad arthritis and carpal tunnel in my hands and my wrists. I also have arthritis in my spine, and I've had these problems since I was 16. But now here I am at 24, and I push myself to the point of it being crippling. It does not need to be crippling on a daily basis. Writing by hand is one of those things. And I read so many books a year. I read usually just under 150 books a year, that the amount of handwriting that I would have to do to keep up with them is just not an option. Because my reading journal is supposed to be where things can be a little bit more thorough, a little bit more detailed, where I can keep my general thoughts so I can refer back to them when making content, when talking about books, if I want to review a book. It's where I keep my main thoughts and feelings about it. So my content and my reviews have really gone down the drain this year because I haven't been keeping track of books as I'm reading them thought-wise, which really kind of screws me over. So this is the year of accessibility for myself. I will not be handwriting this year. Instead, I will be spending the year working on building up my wrist and my hand strength in other ways, in ways that are more manageable and do not cause me severe pain. So that way I can get back to handwriting at some point in time. So for now, we are switching over to full digital keeping. So we have my Storygraph, which I will continue to use until the day I die. I love Storygraph. I do have my Google Sheets, which, let me pull everything up so I can show you what that looks like in case you're interested in downloading that from her. I really think that it's really well done. I think that it is a fantastic tool to have available. I have gotten rid of a bunch of things from it. So there are claw pile things to fill out that are supposed to be pretty much right here that I just hide them all because I don't use them. If that's something that you would like to use, I mean, just keep them there. I think that they're useful if that's something that you want to use. But it has all of this awesome stuff for you to keep track of things. It's pretty detailed, but I don't always fill all of it out. I normally will fill in the title, the month, the author, the format read, the main genre, the age category, the stars I give, and I just usually will say if it's a reread or not, or if it's a series or a standalone. That's normally about as far as I go with this one. And you've got a series tracker, which I typically don't use. I don't really keep track of my series that hard, but whatever. And then you have your new book list. So I will show you my 2023 one, just so you can kind of have an idea of what it looks like filled out. So this is my one from 2023. Some of it, I didn't fill out all of it. I'm not super in depth with it, but you can see like some of my reading stats. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, obviously. You know, it's got some really awesome stuff there for you to like see and lay witness to. And then I have my new books where I keep track of the books that I acquire throughout the year. The ones with prices are the ones that I purchased. The ones that say 0 are typically from my partner or my mom. That's pretty much what I am gifted throughout the year. So that's kind of what that looks like. I absolutely love, or my Google Sheet. I think that is super useful just to like keep a very basic track of, to fill in. I usually fill it in chunks, but this year I have started using Notion for pretty much everything. So my Notion is pretty much my everything at this point. I love it, and I found a reading journal, like free Notion page from someone on YouTube, and I will link that down below in case you want to be able to download it, because I thought that this was super helpful. I'm not a coder. I'm not very good at putting things together myself, but I appreciate people who are good at doing that and help us out. So this is my reading journal for 2024. I've made some customizations that I think are quite important, but they're more for me. So right here, you have my currently reading section. This is what everything is going to look like when I input a book. I can add the cover of the book, and then I do the month, any goals that this completes. The genre is the author POC. Publishing, is it traditional or indie? Is the author queer at all, or is the story queer at all? Then you've got your status. Now this is a little book review thing that I made for myself in Procreate that I can just kind of keep going through and updating as I see fit. And this is something that I can fill out and like post on Instagram, post on TikTok if I need it. But it's also something that I can just get a few thoughts in, have a cute little graphic, do my thing with. So that'll get filled in with whatever book that I'm reading. And then I have format. So how did I read it? Audiobook, physical, ebook, the publisher. So who is the publisher? I really want to be more cautious of the publishers that I am reading throughout the next year, especially with the SMP boycott. Representation. BIPOC rep, queer rep, whether the representation was on own voices or not, I think that's something that's really important to keep track of. And then we have trigger warnings. Any trigger warnings that I need to give, I think those are really, really important. I try my best to emphasize them. Sometimes things get lost because I am not taking proper notes as I am reading. So this is something to help me with that. And then I have my thoughts and review. So this section right here of thoughts are just kind of brief thoughts, things that if I want to post on social media, it's right there. But if I want to do something a little bit more in depth, if I want to take some closer notes, if I eventually want to do a review, like a full review on this section is where that would go. So this is for every single book that I do. So that is my currently reading, also my reading log. And I can put that in a gallery view so I can see all of the books there. Now over here, I have my reading goal. I always keep it as 100. If I read less than that, whatever. If I read more than that, whatever. It stays at 100 every year. Now last year, I started up a 23 backlog books of 2023, which is this page right there, which is where I go through my shelves and I pick out books that I have had on my shelves for quite a long time and I haven't read them. I got through quite a few of them this year, so I missed 9 out of 23. So not great, but over 50%. So I'm taking that. And I am continuing on with my 24 backlog of 2024. I am planning to read Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Ngan, The Library of Fates by Aditi Khorana, Queen of the Conquered by Kacen Callender, The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness, Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, Ice Like Fire by Sara Raasch, History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera, Release by Patrick Ness, King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, Fairy Wars by Herbie, Brennan, A Study in Charlotte by Brittany, Cavallaro, Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven, The Astonishing Color of After by Emily R.X. Pan, Parachutes by Kelly Yang, The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton, Me Being Me is Exactly as Insane as You Being You by Todd Hasek-Lowy, The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslie Walton, My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite, The Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow, Hall of Mosses by Nicoline Evans, Wicked Like a Wildfire by Lana Popovic, Anger is a Gift by Mark Oshiro, This Body Is Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor, and Tangled Vows by Anna Stone. And this is just a way for me to cull down my shelves. I go through, I pick out the books that I've had for a while, and I decide whether I want them. I read through them because I'm not sure if I wanted them or not. And I have gotten rid of quite a few of the books this year by doing this. So it's a method that works really well for me, and it helps me pare down my shelves and prioritize the things that I want to be holding onto in my life. My third goal is to read 40 fantasy books. I love fantasy so much, and I feel like I didn't spend enough time with fantasy this year. I feel like I got really trapped in just reading like terrible smut just because it was available to me, and I did not plan out my reading that well when it came to what I was listening to at work. So I just kind of picked up whatever I could grab. Like I picked up the Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon last month, I think. And why did I do that? I didn't like them. I knew I wasn't going to like them, but I still picked them up anyway because it was there and available. And that's something that I don't want to do this next year, so I want to focus on reading a good chunk of fantasy. My fourth goal is to do at least 5 novel breakdowns. It's something that I do to help my writing. Study the people you admire, study the masters. It helps you become a better writer, become a better editor, become a better reader. All 3. And finally, I want to read 10 indie published books. I really want to get into indie publishing this year. I definitely dipped my toe into it in 2023, but I could definitely be doing more, and I want to do more. And then I have my reading categories, so these are just generally the things that I read, and then I have an important section, which is goals without an exact number. So we went over my goals, but those are things with exact numbers, exact ways to check it off and move on with my day. These goals without an exact number are things that I want to reflect upon as the year goes, but also things that I want to reflect on at the year end. So I want to focus on diverse reads by BIPOC and LGBTQIA authors. There isn't an exact number, but be aware and conscious of your choices. That's so important as being a reader, and making sure that you are conscious of the choices that you are making and acknowledge any bias that you may kind of go to and decide whether that's something that you want to keep. I find that I will oftentimes just like pick up straight white authors' books just because they're there and available. I don't even really want to read them most of the time, but I just pick them up anyway. Why do I do that? Because I make poor choices. That's why I do that. So I really want to reevaluate that and focus on the things that I actually want to be reading. And I want to have a diverse range of authors that I read from and stories that I consume, because that's something that's very valuable to me as a writer, as a reader, as a person. It's just something that I value a lot. Keep track of all the books you bought and don't go crazy budget-wise. So I did really good with that this year. I'm pretty happy with myself. I want to keep that going into next year. I want to be getting new books, taking in new books, supporting authors. That's really important to me, supporting authors with my money, but I just want to keep it as like a manageable amount. I don't want to go overboard, because also consumerism and I want to buy books secondhand when possible. I've gotten really into Pango books this year. I live in rural Maine. I don't really have a lot of used books available to me like I did back in Connecticut. So I've been buying off Pango books a lot, and I like that that also supports other readers. So I want to continue doing that and get more into it. I'll still be going to BAM because I love my books a million, but you know, there's always BAM. And then finally, I want to consistently refer back to my most anticipated of 2024. So I make sure that I'm supporting authors and reading books when they come out and talking about books when they come out. Which brings me to my last section, my book releases calendar. I took every single book from my most anticipated of 2024 list and I put it in this calendar when they're supposed to be coming out. So I have something available to me to show me what's coming out, when it's coming out, what I should be looking forward to, and if there's something that I really want, something that I need to put into my budget for that month, or see if I can put into my budget for that month. So that is also something that's incredibly important to me, because I made my most anticipated of 2023 list, and then I just kind of didn't think about it or touch it all year, and I missed out on a lot of books that I forgot that I was excited about because of it. That is where we are at for my 2024 reading journals and spreadsheets and what I use. So feel free to add me on Storygraph if you want to. I know that they just released a buddy reading feature, so if that's something that you are looking for someone to hang out and do buddy reads with, I am available. You can friend me on there. We can do buddy reads. It can be fantastic. If you need the link to Bookroast's YouTube video, and then if you are looking to download the Notion spreadsheet for the reading journal, I will link the person that I got it from down below as well, so that way you can also access that. Both of those are free resources, so support these creators because they deserve it. Also, capitalism is hell, and these are free resources for you in case you're struggling, because we are all riding the struggle bus right now. So that is where we are at. I hope that everyone has a fantastic day. Tell me how you keep track of your reading, and if you're also someone with carpal tunnel and arthritis, tell me what you do for your hands to make them a little bit more functional, because I am stressed and confused. So I will see everyone next time. Bye.